councils and local authorities to specify it, because that's a big driver, particularly out of town. It's got a bit of a bad name. So we start to say, well, actually, you can, all the petrol of the journeys going back and forth, you can recoup some of that by putting this technology on it. So we get the local authorities to drive the architects then specify the builders, and the builders then specify it back to their supply chain of material suppliers. So there's a bit of a long way around to actually get the pull into the market, but it'll be sold as units to the builders. Yeah, if you chop this one in the middle, so there'll be a minimum size. But there's nothing to say that's because it's this size. If I can, I think on the picture you see in your handout shows somebody holding one which is about 1 centimetre. So tooling up for that is not a great cost, and we can make it any size if there's sufficient volume. So there's not a great tooling cost.
Quick question. Which type of PV panels are you proposing?
This is dye-sensitized solar panels, but I mean that's where the research has gone, and that fits in with steel. But there's no reason why it couldn't be organic photovoltaic. At the moment, the focus is on dye-sensitized because it's a more robust for outside of the building. Organic is, I wouldn't like to put it on the building at the moment.
Because as you are proposing to use it on a large-scale basis, if it's not, if the carbon imprint is, I mean, like, I'm only familiar with older solar panels.
Yeah.
So that isn't very environmentally friendly.
The payback for I think in terms of CO2 payback, there's a study done by Eindhoven University, and silicon is around about 8 years, something like that, in terms of CO2 payback because of the energy put in. And they quote OPV as something like about 15 months or something like that in terms of CO2 payback. This is probably longer than OPV, but its lifetime is longer. So there's always a trade-off in that. So we're probably up to maybe just over a couple of years in terms of CO2. There are some studies done.
Is it possible to print non-regular patterns of individual solar cells in large areas? And if not, is it possible to print possibly patterns of text and color over?
Yes, there'd be no problem in doing that. It would come down to a volume issue. Technically, there's no problem in doing it. It's just on a commercial level of whether you'd want to make one, whether you'd want to make 50, whether you make 100, and there'll be some trade-off there. But technically, there's not a problem in doing that.